afternoon, everybody. Can someone confirm I'm on YouTube for me? I had to reconnect everything before this, so I just want to make sure. I should be on, but someone could confirm. Looks like I'm good. Cool. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Monday afternoon, short trading week. Friday, market is closed. As a reminder, for Good Friday, my name is Patrick Hawe. I'm an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial conditions. Please take a moment, pause the video, read this disclosure in full. I very much appreciate it. And current position disclosure, just long woo and pins. I think last time I was on YouTube, I definitely had a lot more positions. Since then, market's been pretty crazy. I cleaned up a lot. So yeah, that's all I got for now, but definitely on the prowl for more. All right, so markets had a big down day today. SPY. So, all right, let's go back to the morning. So, morning game plan today, we were coming in with a gap down, basically into last week's support. So, our morning game plan this morning was looking at this 444 for SPY. So, basically, this morning, we looked at SPY and QQQ. I didn't really look at IWM just because I thought it was a bit too sloppy, and Qs and SPY, the setup was a bit cleaner there. Basically, we said for SPY, 444 for SPY. So if SPY breaks down and holds below 444, definitely you can look to be short. We have room to at least 440, which again is like the lower end of this daily range. That's basically 4,400 to 4,600 on ES. And then Qs, I said short, you can be short versus 358 or long back through. So what actually happened today? So SPY opened, big gap down, a common gap too. So this was a bit of the issue with the short coming in this morning. The gap was so big, but it was still a common gap that, it was hard to be short right off the open. You can expect some sort of correction. And again, that's why knowing your multiple time frame, continuity, everything like that, where your ADMA is. If you can take away everything and just have like your ADMA, just have it on your 5, your 15, your 30, and your daily all combined. You know what I mean? You don't need like the 21 on the 5 to match with the 8 on the 15. Like they all line up in a way. So SPY opened up, big common gap down, so extended from the 5-minute ADMA on the open, and we pretty much had a bearish time correction. Super, super, super choppy, and you could see this 444, how valid it was. It was just rip up, poke back down, still extended down here. So even though we came back down, sold down a little, we managed to pop back up here, because again, we're still extended to the downside. But pretty much every single time we went over 444, we immediately tailed back down, tail. And then I think this candle right here, I remember, this was like an inside 5 that broke down, came back up, shook people out. This candle kind of poked some of these highs. And then finally, this ADMA on the 5-minute really had caught down to price. And we were saying, okay, like, if we're actually going to break down, it's got to come soon. Otherwise, we're risking this kind of like wedging out and snapping up. But lo and behold, 5-minute ADMA came down. We lost that 444 for sure, and then pretty much a grind down. Midday was extremely boring. Not a lot of action. A lot of put flow in this move down, and then pretty slow throughout the day today. And then another leg lower into the close. Usually you say don't short a dull market, but you also don't want to fight the Fed. And things were very dull but orderly selling, right? And we know when things seem to be orderly selling, You don't want to try to pick that bottom. You want to wait for some type of capitulation. You want to wait for things to get more extreme. Um, so again, orderly selling all day, pretty boring throughout the day, and then a leg down lower. Right, again, lost 444, end of the day at 440. So that first short target achieved. I know some guys did pretty well with shorting today. So that was SPY 444. Qs, I wrote 348, which we didn't. Did we get up there? Or is that a fake print? Did we get up to 349? No, yeah. So yeah, Qs gap a little bit too much. But same thing, just really choppy here. Open, sold off, big bar up, but right into the 80 on the 5. And you can see this just pushed it right down. Again, it was pretty slow in the middle of the day. They weren't, bashing puts all day, so it was pretty choppy and slow. But same thing with the SPY, leg lower into the close. And then the IWM had some better strength this morning. Some of the stuff like banks were really going this morning. Bank of America got over 40. Wells Fargo, which I've been looking at, was up a lot. But then they rolled back over. XLF rolled all the way back over. So lo and behold, IWM also rolled all the way back over. Big bounce here, and then just ugly, ugly close. So we were leaning bearish today. We had our levels out. It's still a two-way market again. So, know your levels, and you keep it simple. If you're below those levels, you can be short. If you're above those levels, you can be long. It's a two-way market, right? So SPY 444 was lost after a very choppy time corrective early morning. And now here we are at 440. So we were leaning bearish today. We got a downside move in the market. What do we look at going forward? So after today, so this morning coming into today, short-term sentiment, which we were looking at too, was definitely getting low, but certainly wasn't overcooked at all. Including the gap down this morning, it was probably getting there. And then now after today's candle, I would definitely say that we're getting a bit oversold for sure here. So tomorrow, let's all put our hands together and pray for the big gap down. I think that's what everyone wants. So you know how it goes when we're oversold and everyone wants another big gap down to buy up. They usually gap it up and make things tricky. But going forward, should we see another decent gap down tomorrow, SPY, getting into like the mid 430s, 435, I think can definitely bounce. Qs getting really extended here. So Qs into like this 335 level tomorrow would be great. And then I guess let's talk about some individual names. So for the market tomorrow, let's hope they can gap us down. If they gap us up, it's going to be tricky. I don't think, if the Qs or whatever, the market gaps up tomorrow, you see where this moving average on the daily is for the Qs. So if we can gap down and we're even further extended, we have a solid edge for a bounce back to even just like today's low. If SPY is at 435 tomorrow, I'd be looking for a bounce back to 440. I wouldn't be looking for a bounce way up here. But if they gap us up tomorrow, I'm not so sure if 442 is a short, if the ADMA is still going to be above 445 tomorrow. So honestly, if they gap us up tomorrow, it's probably going to be a tricky open, and it's probably going to be a less is more. Probably going to look for an inside day, and then see how that inside day breaks on Wednesday. So let's hope for a gap down tomorrow. They probably gap it up to make it tricky, but definitely hoping for a gap down to buy some stuff for bounce plays tomorrow. Some individual names we looked at today. CPI is 8:30. Yep. So yeah, CPI tomorrow morning as well. So some individual names we looked at. AMD 100 was definitely the big talk. This had a breakaway gap below it. We talked about this in the morning meeting. This was AMD's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 time testing 100. And if you really scroll back to the first time it broke out of 100, it tested 100 a ton of times. before this big run. So this is really AMD's 10th plus time testing 100. Really seemed like it was bound to fail. Um, some guys caught this short, some guys missed it. I missed it myself. Um, Really, I wanted to be short versus 100, and the best way to do that was getting in pre-market. Um, you can see it opened, and it's tricky. You saw what the market did with this gap down. It chopped around for a while, but AMD really just kind of had to short right away. And then definitely some guys were getting in on this bounce here as well. But so AMD gap, breakaway gap to the downside below 100. Pretty solid play. Didn't close off lows though, which is interesting. Maybe a positive sign, maybe an early positive sign. Something that I would be looking at for a bounce play tomorrow would be SOXL, which is basically the leveraged SOX, semi ETF. SOXL under 25 tomorrow. So, gap down. Maybe we get some panic flushing. Like maybe SPY gaps down to 437-ish, and then they panic flush it under 436 in the first 15-30 minutes of the day. And then we can take advantage of that panic selling in extreme extension. So SOXL under 25 tomorrow is another one I'm looking at. So basically SOXL 25, SPY 335, and SPY 435 and Q's 335. I was like, there's no way Q's and SPY are the same price. So AMD under 100, some guys definitely crushed that. I did not do as great of a job with this as I should have. But that was a good one. Let's see, what else did we look at? NVIDIA, I wrote short versus 230, but it also was gapping down a lot. By the time this opened, I think it was under, where'd this open? Yeah, just such a big gap down. Gapping down from 231, 232, basically a 10-point gap down. Still, you see what this 580 EMA does when you're gapping down too much. Really choppy, somewhat of a time, somewhat of a price correction, and then just push lower. And again, though, not closing right at lows like the market did. So maybe a positive sign. Maybe I'm just overanalyzing that a bit. So that was AMD, NVIDIA. So we looked at uranium, which these were, I would say this was not too great. CCJ 30 is a big level that we finally closed over. But this morning we were saying, although it's closing over 30, it's looking good over 30, this ADMA still isn't quite caught up. After today, that might have done the trick though. Maybe one more day. Maybe like an inside day. Today's candle is pretty crazy for CCJ. An inside day tomorrow and up with this ADMA finally caught up, that's going to look pretty good. But so we looked at CCJ 30, tried to be strong, came back down with the market, poked 30, right back up through 30. That's what I would call flush. Nice bounce, and then, kind of tricky. If I was long this, I'm not sure what I would have done throughout here. Maybe get stopped out, probably keep it versus the low, but really noisy there. Choppy, so okay, but at least some relative strength, closing up over 1% while the market got kind of smoked today. So CCJ, some relative strength, and then quadruple U, 10 no good still. We're looking at 980 for a cheat for 10. $10 is the real level that this tails and fails. That's a good expression, tails and fails. But we were looking at 980 for a cheat. It kind of went, and then similar to CCJ, kind of went, rolled over, bounced okay with an okay close. But this daily chart still looks intact, and 10 is still a very, very solid level there. So definitely ones to keep watching, just because today was choppy there today. Again, just allows for that ADMA on the daily to catch up even more and set it up even better. And then I guess like Microsoft, I said 290 this morning, and I remember that lost it very, very fast. Microsoft extremely heavy today. I like Microsoft at 280 tomorrow, under 280, like 280 and under. Same thing like SPY 435 and under. Um, just very, very, very extended. Absolute destruction in Microsoft today. And Apple 170 we mentioned was a level 2. Um, and this pretty much same thing as the market kind of just failed right away. This, I guess, didn't gap down quite as much, so I guess you didn't really have to wait here. But Apple and Microsoft very, very heavy today. Very bad closes. Apple, I think I would like Apple tomorrow. This like 163, 162 area looks okay. 160 is a bit, I don't know if we see 160 tomorrow. That's pretty far. But like 163 to 162 looks okay. If we do see 160, that'd be even better. um, again, just if we are weak tomorrow and we're going straight down to 435 or something, that doesn't mean you just blindly buy at 435. You still gotta kind of keep an eye out for something to bite on, some type of signal, even if it's just volume increasing, something. And I think that was everything I really had, / everything we really were looking at today. Yeah, so that's it. So again, just to summarize, we came in today leaning bearish. 4 to 44 was a big level that we highlighted in the morning meeting. It was definitely not an easy short today. If you missed shorting today, don't think that like you're stupid or whatever, because it was not easy at all. That opening action in SPY was so choppy. I started to convince myself that we were going to break up just because how choppy it was, and then they finally pushed it lower. But yeah, so we definitely leaned bearish. We were, I think, ready for a down day, but it was not easy trading action for sure. So don't beat yourself up if you missed the short. At least maybe you saved yourself some money by not going long, right? So that's half the battle, is not losing money. Making money. Honestly, making money is easier than not losing money in some ways. So yeah, let's hope for a gap down tomorrow of some size. If it is of some size, we'll probably look for some panic selling off the open as well, first 15, 30 minutes or so. And we're definitely going to have a solid edge for bounces if we are down even lower tomorrow. If we're flat or gapping up, then I'm going to be pretty annoyed, and we'll probably be looking for a less is more inside day tomorrow. So we'll see how they gap us, and that's all I really got to talk about. So happy to talk about anything you guys want, answer any questions you guys have, take any complaints that you guys have, and take them to our complaint department chief. Yeah, CPI at 8:30. My favorite sites is forexfactory.com for economic data, like when it's coming out, what it tells you, when it's coming out, what time it's coming out, and then the like level of importance. It gives it like a bright red if it's really important, or like a yellow if it's not that important. And by important, I mean like market moving. I like that site a lot. Let's see, you guys talking about the K1? Yeah, Mike, I'll take a look at that tonight as well. U1 went today. U1 that's like a small bank, right? Unless I'm confusing it with something else. This is like a small bank, right? Like a regional bank. Regional banks, someone did post that earlier, that these were looking even better, which they were, but they did still roll over. They didn't roll over all the way. XLF did roll over all the way and make new lows, and this KRE regional bank ETF did not make new lows. So you got some sign there, but this daily chart does not look good. So, these banks still are not looking that great. We really got to see how these earnings go. And they're coming, starting with this Friday, right? Someone's this Friday. Oh no, I think JP Morgan's Wednesday actually. Yeah, JP Morgan is Wednesday morning. BlackRock Wednesday morning as well. And then Wells Fargo, Goldman, Citi, Morgan Stanley, all on Thursday. And Friday we don't even have the market on Friday, so clearly I'm losing my mind already. In this morning's chat, Derek types, still no signal for a bounce. Can you talk about where you're looking for a signal to bounce? Sure. So let's just do SPY. Well, let me make sure. Was he talking about, who asked that? TG, was he talking about the market, do you know? Or was he might have been talking about TLT as well. So I'm just curious if you know if you're talking about the market or if you're talking about like TLT. Yeah. Sure. So let's see. Um, hmm. If you want me to be honest, any. I don't. I don't see one good bounce sign. I don't see one good bounce 5 minute candle this entire day. Um, so that doesn't help you at all. But I guess maybe it can help you because that you're not trying to bottom pick a day like this. And if you're trying to bottom pick a day like this and then your day ends like this, you're probably pretty frustrated. So what would we be looking for on a bounce? Usually volume is a really big confirmation. It's really important. It means more buyers and more sellers are like it literally means more buyers and more sellers are coming in at those current levels. Whether it's people puking out their final longs and getting rid of their final sells, and they're saying, okay, like I can't take this anymore. I'm done. Sell, 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 and then smart money's coming in on the other side of that, and they're absorbing that stock. But basically volume. So you really want to see. It doesn't have to be the biggest 5 minute volume bar of the day. You don't need like a bar like this in the middle of the day. But some evidence of volume pickup, and I think that's the only thing that is making me say I don't see any bottom signals. I know in hindsight I could say, oh, you got a bullish 5 minute engulfing bar here, and then you bounced up here. You could have bought here, and then you cleared some levels here, so maybe you could have bought here, and then you got a tail here, so you could have bought there and caught this move up to here. In hindsight, I could say that looking at this chart, but realistically, I don't think that's how it's gonna go. And you could probably make that argument for a lot of other green bars here that they didn't end up going. If we saw this grind down and this wedge out and this type of candle, and on top of that, this like cluster of 5 minute volume bars was the highest volume it was doing all day. If this was doing more volume here than it was at the beginning of the day, then I would say that's your signal. A candle is good, but volume definitely helps for confirmation. Let me see if I can like pull up. Did anything have a... okay, here you go. Facebook. Look at this Facebook. So Facebook opened, bounced, rolled all the way over. But look at this volume pickup in Facebook. And I know it's not right at like the perfect 5 minute bar. Sometimes it can happen a bar or two before. But this cluster of volume is much bigger than the volume it was doing in the past half hour. So you have a green bullish engulfing bar. You're extended on the 5 minute chart. See, you have room up to the 80 MA on the 5 minute. So you have a candle, you have your extension, and you have your volume. Volume picked up. It's not perfect. It's not the highest 5 minute volume bar of the day, but it's something to bite on. I could argue buying this Facebook candle because of the extension, because of the volume pickup. But SPY, and let's look at, I guess, Qs. A little bit, not really though. Like there's no real, like it's all the same, right? It's a very even trend versus like this Facebook, you got like kind of this random uptick here. So Yeah, does that make sense or help, TG? Today's not a great example, but that's because there wasn't really a great bottom today, so there wasn't, there a signal never really came in, so I guess that's a good thing, because the market never really bottomed today, went down all day and closed at lows. But so that would be it, really. A good candle, preferably with extension. It would be annoying if this happened with SPY and it was the bottom because there's no extension. But if volume was big enough, then that would be telling. But you had no extension, you had no volume pickup. An okay candle that bounced a little bit, but there I don't think there really was a signal, and that's what Derek was saying earlier. And now in hindsight, because there was no signal, the market never really bottomed today. So yeah, I hope that helps. Robbie, do I ever trade options? Not really. I used to only be an options trader before I was at T3. I was your typical retail options, weekly call buyer. And then, now that I'm at T3 and I have the capital access to actually swing shares of stock, I don't really trade options. I want to more and more, but I would trade options to like write covered calls and do writing strategies, or lotto tickets, stuff like that, lotto Fridays. Everyone trades options differently. I used to trade options. I know options pretty well. I know options trading pretty well. So if you have any questions about options, definitely feel free to ask. Personally, I don't trade them as much as I used to. I want to more a little bit, but because I'm a prop trader with T3, I don't really feel the need to buy like a Tesla call because I have the capital. I can buy 100 shares of Tesla or more, and it's the same thing. And if you're doing directional options trading, which is much different than writing covered calls and stuff like that, when you're writing, you don't really care so much what the stock's doing unless it's ripping straight towards your strike. But for directional options, I mean, I can do the same thing with equity, so I don't really need to do the options. The only benefit again would be if it's like a Friday and you're doing Friday lottos. In that case, I'm all for that too. Risking X to make 3x, 5x. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer on if I trade options or not. Thoughts on Nelson Insider bought 900 mil NL. Isn't this getting bought out? This is a buyout play. Is there there might be like a bidding war going on right now? Oh yeah, I see oh yeah, I posted this Nelson news. I don't know. I mean, I need to read the news on this a little bit more, but as far as I know, this is a buyout play. I think there's a bidding war going on for it. But because it's a buyout play, I don't really have any thoughts on it. We don't really like to trade them after that news comes out because there's so many other bigger firms with a lot more money that are doing all this arbitration trading and stuff like that with the buyout. So, no thoughts really. I mean, it looks good, but at this point, I don't know. You mean 15-minute correction prob? That didn't happen in the AM? Well, let's see. So, it's not a coincidence that SPY broke down when the ADMA caught up to day highs. So the way you want to look at your 5 and your 15-minute corrections, and you want to use them together, which is why I like to keep like a 5, 15, 30 daily chart up all at the same time. So say you're shorting here, your 5-minute ADMA catches up to day highs, but this still isn't breaking down. And we were talking about it live earlier, how your 15-minute was, it was a pretty big gap down this morning. So the common gap was decently large. We might need to wait for more of a 15-minute correction before this really gets pushed down. So, but when you think about like how I first started talking about this, we said SPY 5-minute ADMA caught up to day highs, and we were looking for lower, but it didn't quite push it lower. So that's all you want is on the 15-minute chart. You don't want to wait for the 15-minute ADMA to catch up to price action. You want the 15-minute ADMA to catch up to day highs. That's your 15-minute time correction, because it's satisfying. Again, it's satisfying one of Derek's rules that you need to wait for. You have your valid out. Is your ADMA caught up to it? No, it's not. But it finally did. I guess maybe it was more over here, huh? Yeah, I guess maybe this was a little bit late actually. But this was pretty. Was this an inside 15? No, it was not. It was such a choppy morning. Yeah, I mean, I guess this didn't quite even have that full time correction, but I would consider that enough to push it down. But yeah, I see what you mean, where the 15-minute correction didn't even really happen. It's tough. It was such a choppy morning. I trade out of my IRA and can't short, so it's either puts or inverse ETFs for down markets. Oh, true. Yeah, it's definitely nice that you can trade puts there, or inverse ETFs. Yeah, I mean, those that works too. Pat, this morning I was more hesitant to put on new shorts at 10:30ish because I thought we would get a 15-minute correction, but it never came in. What do you do in that situation? Just keep waiting. So you don't. Oh yeah, true. So let's see. Honestly, yeah. So the 15-minute correction never came. I hate talking hindsight trading because I think that's all BS. It's I'm more of a prove it type of guy. But looking in hindsight, these tails are really brutal, and you kind of got to recognize that this is really choppy action. Which we definitely did recognize in real time. It's really choppy. It's tough, but this 80 May caught up today highs. It looks like right around this candle, like either this green bar or this red bar. And then I remember this red bar was an inside 5 that this bar ended up closing weak, but I'm pretty sure this red bar broke down, then broke back up, and poked that high. So if you were shorting this inside 5 and down, robots or whatever, market gods came up and stopped you out real quick and then came right back down. Super, super annoying. I think in hindsight, you got to look at these tails, look at how choppy this is, and you just got to give it the proper room to day highs, which I think was still doable because our target really was 440 for the short. If SPY lost 444, we said it had room to 440. So, maybe you're shorting like so the high I guess was 445. So maybe you're shorting like somewhere 444. It's like $1 room. That's a bit too much for you. It sounds like a lot, risking $1, but that's why you gotta have your daily targets in as well. So risking $1 to make 50 cents, risking $1 to make $1, that's not that great. But risking $1 to make $3, risking $1 to make $4, right? Shorting 444, target of 440, or how we ended up closing today. You could be risking $1 to make 410. Who knows? Who knows what this turns into if you're swinging some short. So to go back to your question, what to do in that situation? Just keep waiting so you don't get burned. I don't think you necessarily keep waiting. I think if you really believe in the idea, but it's really choppy and you can't really get the size that you want, you take less size with, again, 440 is your target. So you take less size with the proper out, and then maybe if you're good enough, once you get experienced enough, you can add when you see a better signal. I remember this candle, it was pretty obvious that things were, this was really starting to lose it here. So yeah, so I think that's the only thing you can really do in this situation is just take less size, especially, choppy markets, like they're running stops all day. That's what these people do, or these robots or whoever they are. So less size and give it the proper out, give it more room. Justin, hope that helps. Wow, is that Baba News legit? Charlie Munger cut his steak. Doesn't, Bob's not really trading right now. We'll see. That's interesting if that's true. Some questions on YouTube. Feeling bullish. When did I go long pins? Wondering what your thoughts were on taking a long position there. Sure. So I went long pins. Let me think of when this was. My average price is just under 23. I think I went long. I think I started going long somewhere around here. And then I had to take some pain and average into a little bit. So I think I was buying down here. And then in this pop, I got like some nice sales off. And I worked my average cost down to like 23 or so. And then today I did not buy more. It pretty much got down to my price and below my price. So I was actually back to being red on it a little bit. But I didn't add more. I would start adding more, I think under like 22 or so. Just to cost average in. Why did I start buying pins here? It's a fundamental play for me. Kind of like Facebook with value, but Facebook's much bigger. But pins, these guys make 700 million plus free cash flow a year. They make money. They're profitable. Unlike, a lot of these other companies, like a DKNG or something like that, like these guys don't make money. Pins makes money. So potential buyout play, more just like its value as well at this point. PayPal, there's chatter that PayPal was looking to acquire them when this was a $50 stock. Now it's cut in half. So PayPal, if you're still thinking about it, you got a 50% discount here. And on top of all of that, the fundamentals, the chart, everything like that, there was option activity the day that I started it. The day that I started pins, throughout the afternoon, multiple sweeps of September 30 calls that opened up. So that's great swing flow that I like to see. I like to talk about like the difference in the option flow we look at. And like if they're coming in and they're sweeping, weekly 25 calls or something like that, then that's more of just like you're looking for momentum. You're looking for short-term momentum. But they're coming in with size, with time behind it, opening positions, strikes much higher, then that's more of the swing flow that you want to see. So I knew I liked pins like a couple weeks before, and I've been waiting for some type of signal. I've been burned one too many times buying a downtrending name that just keeps downtrending. So I know by now to try and at least wait for a signal. And then the option flow showed up, and that was good enough for me to at least start. So that's my backstory with pins. And so my price is about right here. I guess I'm a little green on it because I'm under 23. So what are your thoughts on taking a long position? I like it. Again, it's a fundamental thing for me, so I don't necessarily have an out. So if that's the same idea for you, if you like it longer term, then I like it here, but start small. Start with, 20% size of your position or something. If 1,000 shares of pins is your full size position, then start with 100 shares or 200 shares. And that way when it's at 21 or 20 or 19 or 18, you're happy that you're lowering your costs and you're not pulling your hair out because you're too big and you don't know what to do and blah, blah, blah. So I like it as a starter here, Kyle on YouTube, what are my thoughts on Apple? So I guess kind of just the same thing as the market. Big day two down. extended for sure. So same thing as the market. I hope we get a gap down. If Apple gaps down, I think the levels I said was like mid 163 to 162. Um, I guess pretty much like under 164. If Apple gaps down and is flushing and is getting to 163, like under 163 tomorrow, I like it for a bounce. Otherwise, same thing with the market. If Apple's flat or gaps up tomorrow, then I'm probably going to be looking for like an inside day, which will probably result in a bearish way as this 80 MA comes back down. So if you like Apple, you like it for a bounce, hope for a gap down tomorrow, and I like this like 163 level. 160 is great too. If we see Apple, I mean 160 is great too. I'm not so sure we can get 160 tomorrow. That's pretty far away, but 163-ish and then 160 for a bounce. And again, it's correlated to the market. So I'm expecting, if we're down big tomorrow, I'm expecting the market to bounce. I'm not expecting it to bottom and go to all-time highs tomorrow. That's the other difference. So, know your time frames for your trades. Woo, do I see support? Just Justin on YouTube. Woo, do I see support at 1720 to 1750? Woo 19 was on our radar this morning from Jerry. There's another, or I guess the only other swing that I'm in right now. What'd you say? 1720 to 1750? Well, yeah, for sure. Big support. I hope it doesn't go back down there at this point. So for now, I would say support's more like, I mean, this is, again, it's more of it's a hold play for me. I don't trade this too actively. But like 1850, kind of like 1875, 1850. Ideally, you don't lose this 1850. Bigger picture, yeah, this is big support here. Bigger picture, like, yeah, 17 to 15 is like huge support. So yeah, I kind of hope it doesn't go back down here again. But if it does, it's fine with me. I like the dividend and everything like that. So my answer to your question is yes, that is support, but I wouldn't wait for this to go back down here. This chart looks pretty good. I think you could buy some now versus like 1850 if you want to be tighter with it. That's woo. Let's see what else we got in the VTF. Nick gets what I'm saying about 15-minute corrections. That's good. Rowan is helping Mike. Rowan is a very smart man. How did I learn to trade options before joining T3, or did it just come with experience? Just, yeah, my own research and my own learning and my own making mistakes over and over again, and buying weekly calls that are way out of the money, and buying the call that's 2 strikes out of the money because it's cheaper, and then getting burned on that versus the one that I should have just bought in the money and paid up for because that one went up, and the more out of the money one went down even though the stock went up that day. And just like trial and error, learning through experience, and just researching and reading. I guess, I don't know, I mean, it's been at least like 5 years now that I've been pretty heavily dabbling with options, so just time, I guess, practice, and getting burned many times. IV is a big thing. Yeah, if that Charlie Munger news is real, it's kind of crazy. Shorting Qs was tough today too because of the gap down, then flat action. I decided to wait, finally got TQQ short late in the day. That worked out. I'm glad it worked out, and yeah, I totally agree. It was not super easy. Maybe in hindsight, this looks easy, I was thinking that with SPY today. Like in hindsight, it's like, oh, look at this, 5 minute AMA comes down, boom, full BP short. But like that's in hindsight. Like in reality, when you're watching the tape and the market's moving, like this was really weird. I was like, okay, we're gonna break down. Okay, we're not breaking down. We're gonna snap back up. Okay, we're gonna break down. So yeah, it was not an easy morning. I don't think. It says you sold 50% during all of Q1. Maybe you can find a better source. Yeah, I'll take a look, Justin. That'd be interesting if he bought, if he like went long Baba and now he's getting scared and getting out. It's interesting. The calls strike for pins, they were September 30s. Let me just make sure they were monthlies. I think I wrote this down. Yeah, just September monthly 30 calls. I remember that afternoon. It was multiple. Let me see if I could even. I'll look back after the meeting, Gabriel. But it was definitely September 30s. Looks like I got through everything. Anyone have? Oh no, we got another YouTube question. David, thoughts on uranium here? See, yeah. So we looked at uranium today, David. I think I talked about this a little earlier. 30 we were looking at for. So this morning we were looking at CCJ 30. Clearly a big level tail. The tail and fails up until what was this, Thursday, I guess. Which Thursday we actually caught this as well. Thursday had a big day. We caught this due to the continuation hammer on the daily chart, right? Tail and up, tail and up, tail and up, and then tail and up. So this was on our radar Thursday. Really nice close over Thursday. Over 30. This morning I basically said 30 is your level. It looks pretty good, but this ADMA is still, a bit too low. You really want this ADMA to catch up to 30 or at least kind of like these tail lows, 2980s. It was really choppy today. Strong, failed, poked down through 30, back up, back down, and then closed okay. So this is looking, it's just kind of chopping sideways, aka a time correction, while the daily ADMA catches up. It's a really wide-ranging candle today, so ideally I would like, in a perfect world, tomorrow CCJ an inside day, meaning CCJ trades inside today's range tomorrow. That would give it another day for this ADMA to really catch up to this 30, and then so that would be on Wednesday. If we get an inside day tomorrow, on Wednesday, look for an inside day and up on CCJ. And uranium overall looks great. It's relatively strong. Quadruple U looking good as well, this 10 level. So uranium looks good. Maybe one more inside. An inside day would be nice, but they could just keep going. These things can get momentum for sure. But they look great. Uranium looks fantastic compared to the market. So definitely keep them on your radar for sure. Cool, looks like I got through everything. Part 2 of American Idol. I know someone that was on the first round this year, and they made it to like the Hollywood level, but then they didn't make it through the duet level or whatever. Some girl I went to high school with. But whatever. At least she did it, so that was kind of cool. Really? I don't think she was ever on TV. She would like always post stuff. I don't think she ever was on TV. They never showed her, unfortunately. So yeah. All right. Have a good night. Enjoy your American Idol, Josh. Let's hope for a gap down tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody.